my story. I know most of you, I know all of you here. And so when I say I'm Janet and I am gay, I'm not seeing any surprised faces. My generation grew up with the use of the identifier gay. It was an acceptable and less derogatory identification. Pastor Alyssa refers to herself as queer. That was an ugly, derogatory slur for my generation. I realized and accept that Alyssa is young enough to be my granddaughter's age. That identification of being queer has normalized the word for her generation. It was difficult at first to hear the identifier queer because of how I heard that used as a slur a lot in my day. How brave our young generation has become, and I'm so proud of their progress. I realized I was gay in junior high, maybe even 6th grade, but through my teachings in my church, I believed that God would not allow me to ascend into heaven. No pearly gates for me. Through my high school years, I tried to be straight. I dated guys. I was in a religious-based girls group called Job's Daughters, and I excelled, reaching the highest level of honored queen. I had to hide being gay to fit in, to not be outcasted. Yes, that did happen a lot. When in high school, I met my soon-to-be husband through Job's Daughters. When I entered college, he entered the Navy. We became engaged. Our marriage lasted 12 years. It was the only way I knew how to live my lie. When we divorced, at no fault to him, I could no longer live that lie. I finally told him, and he accepted it graciously. I lived and loved as a gay woman, but still the faith I held on to felt deceitful. California passed the gay marriage law, but Corky and I agreed we would not marry until everyone in the United States could marry. When the United States Supreme Court approved gay marriage, both my brother and sister called us very early in the morning, separate calls. When are you getting married? I felt like it was a shotgun wedding, but that doesn't work. Most of you know my wife, Corky, and we lived in the Coachella Valley, think Palm Springs. While living in Southern California, I attended my brother and sister-in-law's Palm Springs United Methodist Church, a very robust congregation and more than half gay. Think a roster of 750. Big church. The acceptance was overwhelming. The pastor explained that the Methodist Church still didn't allow gay marriages. We asked our pastor if she would marry us overlooking the golf course where we lived in our gated community. The pastor asked us that no pictures be taken of her in her pastoral clothing due to the risk of the church finding a picture on Facebook and her possible dismissal. That was 2014. We've come a long way, baby. It was still not acceptable to be wed in the United Methodist Church building, but we did. We got married. Within a couple of years, things began to really change, and things were moving towards reconciling, even though at the time I just didn't even understand that distinction. We moved to Sweet Home in 2017, and our neighbor Karen Wise, many of you might remember her, invited me to attend church with her church, this church. You were all very accepting and welcoming of me. I encouraged my wife, Corky, to attend events and mostly to help with issues around the church, manna, the parsonage. That was when I began to learn about the real life struggle the United Methodist Church was making to accept gay members into their fold. I was so thankful to the United Methodist Church and very heavy of heart for the loss of so many congregations and entire churches to the divide of acceptance. But I was in awe of how far our community had progressed. The one huge idea, comment, readings from the Bible that I have taken to heart is that Jesus loved everyone, without exception. And that, dear church friends, means you. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 12 is, love covers all offenses, while hatred stirs up strife. Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 3, I have loved you with an everlasting love. I have drawn you with loving kindness. And my favorite, 1 John chapter 4, verse 7, Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. I finally belonged, and I no longer had to dread facing the pearly gates by myself as a gay woman, because I know God loves all. The United Methodist Church encourages and accepts the entire alphabet of gays, LGBTQ+, or as I refer to them as ABCWXYZ, or soup to nuts. But that's not true of all church denominations. You can attend, you can put your money in the offering plate, but you are not allowed to be a member. And I found this out by visiting churches here in this Sweet Home before I came here. They were so, come, join our congregation, but you can't become a member. And to complicate matters even more, due to current events, it looks like the United States Supreme Court judges don't agree about gay marriages. And so in this country, the gay struggle continues. And I have to wonder if this will change the way the United Methodist Church across the nation will look at gays and marriage. I imagine that this struggle will be similar to the women's rights and the Black community rights, and their two groups struggling for their own right to be seen as American and not as a minority. However, I can't predict the future. I live in the here and now, and today I have lived with my partner for 30 years, 10 of them legally married. I belong, I am accepted, and I am a member of this church. This is only one person's struggle with how life has been and how I faced my beliefs. So many are still out there, still trying to reconcile their beliefs with their churches. As you know, many gays are part of many churches, yet few are totally accepted or allowed and encouraged to join their church. It's a changing landscape, and I know that this church, my church, has lost members over this. I am thankful that you are strongly convinced that this is the right path and that you will help that tide turn. And now my story has become your story. And I love you all.